Welcome everybody. It's Flaminpit Show Part 2. Surprise. How you doing back there, Johnny?
Pretty good.
Still doing good?
Yeah, I'm going to grab that cupcake in a minute.
If there was a camera back there, they would see you scarfing a sugar high bakery cupcake.
Yeah, people are saying, he really should back down. He really can't afford all those calories. And they're probably right, but
that's okay.
It tastes too damn good.
Exactly. So part 2 today, we have Mr. Stanley Brantley of Brantley Development. And for some people that don't know, Stanley used to be my neighbor years and years ago. And so when we decided to do a little thing for New York, then Stanley donated his truck and some of his services. So I thought it would be a good thing to have him come on and tell us about what it was like. So welcome, Stanley.
Thank you very much.
So tell me what that was like. I mean, what did you see? Because I know after I saw the effects of Hurricane Katrina, it was just like one of them things that just stay in your mind forever.
Yeah. Just like everybody else saw it on TV, saw little nips and crannies of the media. Mm-hmm. I just felt that I was like, man, what can I do?
Right.
And just like reaching out on Facebook, and I was happy that you did reach out and say, hey, we got something going on in Flint. Can you help? Long drive to New York. We were able to pull our 20-foot trailer with donated items from the Flint area. Mm-hmm. And going into New York, once you cross the George Washington, everything kind of seemed normal. But as you got close to Queens and Rockaway Point, those areas, you could start to see how the hurricane affected the area. Mm-hmm. It would be like, you got electricity on this side of town, you drive 5 minutes away, there's no power, there's big generators, there's National Guards everywhere, there's police on every corner. I mean, it's just the impact start to hit you that, man,
something is wrong.
Just imagine you losing everything. I mean, in Rockaway Point, you had people lined up for clothes, food, and you ask, all right, well, you can get in your car and drive 5 minutes away, but then you notice their cars are devastated because they were flooded, completely flooded. So all you have is you can walk or try to catch a bus.
And there were no buses right at that time. It took a couple of days.
It took a couple of days. Even in Rockaway Point, I mean, it was so hard to drive a truck and trailer through there. Mm-hmm. I mean, because you had front-end loaders trying to get up the trash. You had contractors trying to help board up houses. You had people trying to serve food and hand out clothes. And it was just really, really congested. But you go back to the point of, man, these people lost everything. Mm-hmm. And in Rockaway Point, there's high-rise apartment complexes. And, they said, well, the water reached the top windowsill. And so that means that everybody on the first floor lost everything, and everybody else, they probably have their beds and their clothes and stuff like that, but they had no power.
No power, yeah.
So you're handing out food that they have no power to heat up or cook or do laundry. And then at the same point, they lost their vehicles.
Right. So, it had to be a devastating sight because they had a show on called Megastorm, and it was the Sandy. Yes. And I watched that, and it was just, when I saw that water, water is some terrible stuff. I mean, it can just take you out.
It is. And, in each community, there was something specifically different about the effect of Sandy. Breezy Point, power outages. And like I say, the cars are destroyed. People on the lower... And this is really funny is that, I mean, not funny, but ironic, the apartment complexes had big generators. But if you lived around a block from that apartment complex in a regular home, you had no power.
Nothing.
At night, it was pitch black down the streets. So those people were more affected by Sandy than the people living in apartment complexes. We went to Breezy Point. And at Breezy Point was where the 60 homes, 80 homes got burnt up.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it was just like,
you think
Breezy Point was, more of a higher income level, but it was just devastating, and if you want to imagine some areas in Flint, how bad they are, it doesn't compare.
Wow.
You got piles of people's belongings, their trash, houses that's, knocked off of their foundation or have sunken in because of all the water.
Water, yeah.
And then we went to Seaport. And, houses just swept away.
Just float out to the water.
Swept away.
Wow.
And you just say, wow,
That's all. When I saw the people digging in the dumpsters, that was amazing because it's like, this is New York.
Yes.
And, these are rich people.
Yes.
They were over in the dumpster.
Yes.
And they was like in front of this restaurant saying, they're throwing all this stuff out. And the people in the restaurant, they were just throwing the stuff out. Now, why wouldn't they just donate it?
Water damages a lot of things. Furniture. It's just like if your basement flood.
Right.
Your drywall is no good anymore.
But 100 times over.
Yeah, 100 times over. Even in Brooklyn, we delivered some items to a church in Brooklyn, and you got sand piles in the middle of the street
That had washed up from the beach.
Washed up from the beach. Literally. Sand piles.
And you drive up, you're like...
You can imagine in the winter, a bad winter, and how, you go to Myers and they push all the snow into those big piles. Yeah. That's exactly what it was, but it was sand.
Wow. And you was like, oh, what?
Yes.
And the roads, I imagine, was just like...
They were, by the time we got there, they were trying to clean up the main roads, but, they were sandy. I think it snowed a couple days before we got there. So you had snow. It was still wet. So at night, the daytime was bad enough, but at night when you had no power, no way of heating your homes. And
they were talking about muggers. The one lady was saying it was so dark and everything. She was like, you don't want to be out on the streets after dark. She said it's so dark and it's so dangerous.
Yes. Well, from what we did see, I don't know how dangerous it was. There was a police officer on every corner, literally on every corner.
Right.
There's lines and lines of National Guards going into Breezy Point and Rockaway and, Seaport to provide security.
Right.
And to assist and clean up in those areas. So I don't know if there was a big impact on crime or stuff like that, or looting. Most of the storefronts that lost electricity, they had small generators. They weren't allowing individuals into the store, but if there was something that they needed that they still had that was good, they would sell it to them, but it was all cash.
Right.
So just imagine, I don't carry cash.
Me
I
either.
use my debit card. So if you can't accept debit,
the machines don't work.
I can't have no way of getting cash, so I have no way of buying any items.
Right.
And my car doesn't work, so I can't go,
to a bank.
I can't drive 10 to 15 minutes out into Queens where there is an ATM machine. So, it was real difficult for a lot of people to adjust.
Yeah. Well, when you think of that in that manner, because I don't carry cash, and it's like when you go to a place and that don't take debit, or like you say, if all the power is gone, your money is pretty much useless.
Yes.
Unless you have cash, all those credit cards and everything are useless.
Down there in Alabama, I have a friend that works at a Walmart down there just after the tornadoes swept through, destroyed a city called Cordova. Anyway, a woman went through a line, she went to check out, and she scanned, she had a debit card or whatever, scanned it, zipped it through, and nothing was coming up. And what I found out was her bank was destroyed and all the infrastructure was gone. But there's a guy behind her that saw what was going on, and she had all this underwear and everything was gone from her house.
Right.
She had to get stuff for her kids. And he told my friend, he was the cashier at that line. He goes, I'll pay for it. Yeah. And he pulls out his credit card and pays for everything. And she goes, it was like a big moment. Everybody's like, coming around like, I was like, she goes, but this woman was just so dismayed that the bank that she banked with was just totally gone. And so, you're right that, we're so dependent on going towards a cashless society. in a circumstance like this, it's devastating for us.
Yeah, it doesn't work. I mean, we need some cash because,
do.
you know, and like, so where did you guys end up at? And like, I know that Joe had said they were going a day early or something. And then I told him, I said, well, you guys going to run right into the new storm.
Yeah.
So where did everybody end up? Did you guys meet up?
Joe was there. He was leaving as we were pulling in. They were getting ready to leave as we pulled in, and we stayed at Hope NYC. Very nice people. You know, slept on the floor. You know, had to share the shower, but we were, you know, welcomed with open arms.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I got a text message from the pastor the other day asking when we're coming back.
Yeah.
You know, and met some really nice people. What we did notice is as we drove into New York, we saw contractors coming from everywhere.
Oh yeah, you know,
We met another contractor
people.
from Lincoln. I mean, to work. Another contractor was coming from Lincoln Park. One contractor came all the way from Colorado. We met people from St. Paul, all Virginia, Upper New York area, and they were coming with equipment, donations. One of the churches, Victory Hill, out of Ohio, and this was the pastor is actually from Westland area. He pastored in Westland, where I'm from, and you know, him being from Michigan and his congregation are from Ohio. They talked about the Michigan-Ohio thing a lot, but he was really happy to see some people from Michigan there.
Yeah, yeah.
But they came with 2 van loads full of people, a camper. They brought 2 bobcats.
Wow.
The pastor and the assistant pastor both lost their houses in Sandy. So they came to assist them, brought them new refrigerators, stoves, washer and dryer, went and helped cleaned out their house, and at the same time helping distribute food that was provided through FEMA.
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the things that they do have to watch out for are the scammers, because you know they laying in there waiting, and that's one thing that I would be so afraid of, because it seems to happen everywhere. I mean, even with Katrina, FEMA was getting scammed left and right. People from up here was using addresses down there to get money, and they had them all on the news, and they got caught. But it's just like, you know, why do people like take advantage of situations like that? Because I always say we're lucky that we don't have the hurricanes, we don't have the big floods, we have tornadoes every now and then, but we have not been through anything that devastating that we would need people from everywhere to come and help us. So when people say, you know, why would you want to get involved with that? That's the reason, because I hope that if something like that happens, that we have the same amount of people with compassion to say, let's go and help Flint. No matter what we heard about Flint, you know, and one thing too is like, since everybody only hear the bad stuff about Flint, we were willing to like go out there and show them we're not like that. Everybody's not like that.
They were loving Flint. They was giving us a lot of love to us. When we told them that we were from Detroit area and Flint area, and they was like, oh, you know, you come from that far to help us. Man, they was giving us big hugs and stuff like that. So, you know, from what I saw, it was all positive. And then, like I say, you know, for me, I couldn't go to when there was Katrina. I couldn't go to Katrina. I didn't have the funds and you know, the resources to do that.
Right.
9/11, I couldn't do it.
Right.
But for Sandy, I had the funds, the resources, and the time.
Right.
And I asked my wife. I said, you know, she thought I was joking. I was like, can I go to New York? She was like, yeah. And then when I got my bags packed, she was like, you going for real?
For real?
Said, yes. I'm going to do whatever I can do. So Weingarts from out of Farmington Hills donated gas cans, chainsaw oil, you know, stuff like that, so that we can, you know, cut way through. Yeah, cut our way through, or give it to somebody who needed it. You know, so we took our generators, tools. We just loaded up the truck with everything that I thought that would be useful, and we just went to New York. My brother, Monte Tams, went with us. So, you know, we just went to go do whatever
Right.
God says that he gave us the ability to do.
Right, because I figure when you're blessed and you give it back, it's going to come back. Because I was really glad to see somebody, when you posted, I was like, yes, somebody wants to do it. And then when Joe posted and he contacted me, I was like, well, yeah, I'll help. What do you want me to do? I mean, I can't go, but, whatever I can do. And, for like the 3 days that we did it all in like 3 days, because I thought he was going to say like, in a week. He was like, no, Lisa, we're going to do it in 3 days. I was like, well, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
So then
it was at a whim. I wish that, Flint, here in Flint, we could have organized something bigger.
Yeah.
Because really, I know there were some other things that are happening, but sending cash doesn't help.
No.
They needed food, they needed diapers, they needed bleach. They needed those things that they can use now.
Yeah.
Instead of having to go through the red tape and go through an agency to get money to go where.
Yeah, you can't go buy anything because now everything is washed away.
And me working in county government for 15 years, that red tape is not what those individuals needed.
Yeah, it's just more stress.
Yes.
And I think, like Fenton, there was I think they did a thing in conjunction with the fire department out there. So I think if we do it again, we should combine with something like that from Flint to get more, because a lot of people didn't do what I thought. I was expecting a whole lot more, but I understand it was short notice and the word didn't get out as far as we wanted it to. But I think if we combine with, say, fill up a fire truck or, one of them fill up a bus or, one of those type things, and we have, like, say, a week or so to do it, I think we could do a much better job. And it's just, I told Joe, I was like, when you guys get ready to do it again, just, let me know anything I can do.
I end up spending about $1,000 on gas, going there and back. And, I have 4 trailers and trucks.
Right. You could have somebody drive each one.
And I had some of my employees, I said, do y'all want to go? Some of them wanted to go. Yeah. But we didn't have a big enough donation drive to do that.
Right.
And like I said, what they needed was, I was like, a case of water was less than $3 at most stores.
Right.
Donate 1 case of water. That's
because
less than a gallon of gas.
And a lot of people needed water too, because you need, and it's like with water, it's like you never think about how bad you need it until you don't have it. It's like the city come along, they said we working on the pipe, we got to turn your water off. Everybody go in the shop,
and then they say you got to boil water. You
can't even boil it.
If you got water, you can't even use it.
That's right. So everybody donate.
What am I gonna boil it with? I have no gas.
No gas.
I have no electricity.
Nothing.
So, bottled water does go a long way,
Because I was looking at one of your posted, the back of the truck was filling up with cases of water, and you had some other stuff. And I was like, and I had asked Joe, I said, now, is it going to be enough? Are we going to be able to fill up at least 1 truck to make it worthwhile? Because I know that's a long trip. Yeah. And when I lived in Jackson, Michigan, I knew it was at least 12 hours. Yes. So, and now with the price of gas.
Yeah, it was, you know what, we didn't fill up the truck. And, we even considered taking everything out and put it in a smaller trailer. And then I said, no. I said, it's already hooked up, it's full, we're just going to drive this trailer. I mean, a 20-foot trailer is a lot of space. Right. And I'm glad we took that 20-foot trailer, because once we got to Hope NYC, they filled that trailer up. I mean, we filled that trailer up to the back door when we went out. And we got rid of all of that stuff real quick. And I think on this Monday, we filled that trailer up twice.
Wow. From just within New York area?
Just from and Breezy Point and Rockaway, we filled that truck up twice.
And then you could take it to other spots. And
what we did was, matter of fact, that day we had a pallet truck also full of food. So we actually had 2 trucks going from church to church, or community centers, or wherever we felt like we can get these people where the stuff was needed. Right. There was people out in parks cooking. And we would take them water because they were fighting a hot meal. Right. So we had orange juice. We had apple juice, water, pop. We would take them some because they're already feeding people. Right. Here, all right. You need this. Here you go. a lot of the items went to what they I can't even think of the word. Most churches or community centers and stuff like that, where long lines, and that's where people were getting stuff
Yeah, because I know they had like a food truck in some of the areas where they would feed them hot meals, but then they got to the end, they were like, they out of food.
Yep, there was a lot of food trucks. A lot, and like I said, there was a lot of volunteers from all over coming in.
Right.
I mean, and they had, you have to say, wow, that these people bring these truckloads. I mean, not just like, it's not like me filling up my trunk with a couple cases of water.
Right.
I mean, truckloads of food, basically movable kitchens.
Oh, yeah.
Mobile kitchens.
Mobile kitchens.
You know, they're bringing these mobile kitchens in and with food to feed these people.
Wow.
So, yeah, you have Red Cross out there. You have FEMA out there. You have the National Guards out there. But you had a lot of volunteers, people from faith-based organizations coming in to help. And that has a bigger impact than anything that FEMA can do, because from what I can tell, and like I say, I 15 years in county government, FEMA is able to do what they do because of faith-based organizations. FEMA brought in truckloads of food items and water and juice and stuff like that to Hope NYC Church. And Hope NYC distribute all of those items. You know, they packed them up in the vans and in the trucks, and they took them out to other faith-based organizations or wherever it was needed and distributed it.
Right.
And so that right there showed me that the reasons why FEMA have such a hard time, you know, it's a plus and a minus. FEMA can't do it by himself.
Right, and I know when it comes to cutting the checks, I mean, that's a whole lot of paperwork, and who wants to be bothered with that now?
Yes.
I mean, if you cut me a check, what am I supposed to do with it?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
you know, I would rather fill up my trailer with diapers, bleach, water, food items.
Right.
I mean, they had these little Hormel microwavable dinners, you know.
Can't use them.
They can't use them, but, you know, well, they could use them because they had big generators out there powering the buildings, you know. So yeah, some of them did have electricity, and something really was funny is that they have all these portable lights at the corners,
right?
And those lights are ran by generators. People were standing around those lights to power their cell phones.
Yeah, I saw some of those on the news. They were letting them stand there and power their cell phones, and they take turns doing it. At least that was calm, because, you know, it was like, it could have been like Black Friday going crazy. You know, everybody, I want to power my phone. Yeah. But they were very calm, and that was the good thing. It wasn't, I didn't see anything on the news where everybody was going crazy. And
I saw no crazy commotions. Everything was calm or kind of organized. People were patient, you know, and they waited in line for their turn. You know, you get every now and then you see one or two people, I need this, I need it, you know. Right. But they waited, and we didn't have, I mean, we sat, one night, we stayed out to 9 o'clock, and we were at a apartment complex, I think it was in Breezy Point, and we set the water and the food out, and because it was nighttime, at nighttime the streets got clear. There was no people walking. So every now and then we will see, they will go to their dark apartments. Wow. So every now and then we see somebody come by. We say, hey, come, here's some food, water, whatever, come and get it. And then knock on your neighbor's door and tell them to come down and get some too. Right. And it took about a good 40 minutes, and then they just start coming down.
After we ran through, go down and get food.
Yep, come down.
Oh,
you know,
my goodness.
They came down, they got just enough, and they left. Thank you, and you know, I need to get something for my grandmother or the elderly lady next door. She needs some water and stuff. Okay, take it. Right. You know, so like I say, what I saw was all good. I didn't see any of that all rioting and people running down the street.
I am so glad
crazy.
because sometimes that just makes you not want to do anything. If people gonna act crazy, you know how you say one person just spoil it for you. You want to just choke them out. So, look, get out the way,
Yeah. It was a really good experience, and I'm really blessed to be able to go to New York and help out.
Yeah.
And for me as a business owner, I think that I'll prepare myself for the next one to go.
Yeah, now that you've been, you know what to expect. And I think if we have more time, we can, do a bigger job. But I was just glad to just even go on the news and talk about it to like help get the word out. It was a lot of fun to do that. So, and Joe had said, well, I want you to come with us, and I was like, well, I can't go right now. There was no way I could just like pop up and go, but I hope eventually to go, tag along, bring my boy, and do some volunteering or whatever. But
actually, we're planning. I told my wife that we're going to plan on going to New York next year. And taking our kids, and we're going to spend some time at Hope NYC and help them. Their community outreach, and help them for a day, so that my kids can see, one, how fortunate they are to have the things that they have,
and and hopefully by that time things would have gotten better. The government would have come in, and everybody would be back to normal.
Well, it's been almost 10 years since Katrina, and they're not back to normal.
I know, and that's crazy. It just. When I was down there, it was a couple years after they still had the blue tarps on roofs because they hadn't done anything. We passed this whole plaza. It looked like splinters. And we were just like in shock and now they would just said on the news the other day, I was looking at another special and they showed a Katrina and it was like 2009. And they still hadn't, everything is still not done.
For Seaport, for Breezy Point, for some areas in Rockaway. We didn't get to Staten Island. There's some other areas that was hit bad too. It's going to be a long time before those areas come back.
And I was wondering about with Manhattan being an island, they never mentioned about it getting hit.
Well, you know what? Some areas, if you go down by Madison Square Garden, it's not affected.
Nothing was affected.
Yeah, as we were driving back towards the Washington Bridge, it was business as usual for those areas. It was only the devastating areas were on the coastline.
Right on the coast.
Yeah, on the coastline. So, that's and those are residential homes. And if you don't have insurance, that nothing's going to happen to that house.
And a lot of them won't even do flood insurance because it's so expensive.
Oh, and then, there's federal flood insurance, which is real expensive. But like I say, if you want to compare Flint to those areas that was hit, Flint is on a downward spiral.
Right.
It'll take a lot to get some areas of Flint back to where it used to be.
Right.
Now, take that and add in the natural disaster of Sandy in New York, and that'll be just as long before those areas come back, because either if you don't have insurance, you can't rebuild, so that means you lost everything. And if you do have insurance, how long is your insurance? Is your insurance company going to write your check, or are they going to rebuild your house? And then if they do you want to stay?
Well, the thing is, they probably not going to give you the worth anymore.
No.
They only going to give you a certain amount, and then you're done.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't be able to rebuild anyways. You just have a check in your pocket.
Yeah. And like I say, so for some of those areas, it's going to be a while. It'll be another 10 years. They'll be doing a story on Sandy effects 10 years after, and some of those areas.
See, I'll be 70 years old. I don't want to know.
But I think, for me, like I said, I want to take my kids up there next year. We're going to volunteer for a day. And, if Flint can get together and find it in their hearts to send, some more donated items down there, I'm game to go, gas up the trucks and load it up and let's go,
Yeah. But anyways, we're going to have to wrap up the show today, and I'm so glad that you took the time to come down. And I was just waiting to get the story on it because I hadn't been able to talk to Joe yet, and I haven't seen any devastating pictures, probably because it was pitch black most of the time. Yeah. But we do want to ask that if anybody wants to make more donations, you know, we can probably all get together and set it up again. And this time, like, you know, work with the organization where people will think, because I think sometimes people probably think we're like trying to scam people or whatever, and it's not about that. We're not a non-profit or anything. We're just individuals trying to do the right thing.
Yeah. Like I say, I spent $1,000 out of my pocket.
Right, and it won't be reimbursed. Right. I mean, it's just one of those things you wanted to do. Yeah. But I'm glad you came down, and I can get a better picture of, you know, someone that's actually been there and saw it, and it makes you really appreciate what you have here. Yes. So, in saying that, next week, let me see who I got on my show next week. Mama Soul, who is artist, author, writer. She's going to be coming on, and I've seen a little bit of her work, so I'm really excited about having her come on. So I want everybody to make sure you tune in next week, same time, same place. So thank you again, Stanley, for coming in, and saying that, Flaminpit, and we're out.